Welcome back to Light Talk, where the paranormal and the supernatural is a part of our everyday lives. We have a special guest with us tonight. He's got lots of stories, and so we're going to get started. So I welcome you to the show and tell us about yourself.
My name is Jason Tavares, but I always go by Jason J Tavares. I always use the middle initial for books that I write and films that I make. I recently put out a new book called Curb Grass, short stories written between walks. My dog, who died Friday, April 22nd, 2016, is on the cover, but the book's actually not about him. It's about the short stories written between his walks, mostly in 2016 when I wrote the book. But I didn't publish it until just recently. It came out a few days ago on Amazon. And I recently put out two 50-minute films. One came out, not about my dog, just in general, both kind of paranormal type of films. One came out January 7th, and it's called Seemingly Curtis Cussbelch. And then the other one came out roughly a week ago, and it's called Radiators Popped as Pipes Rattled. And they're both doing very well on my Jason J Tavares YouTube channel, if you'd like to check that out and share it, if you would.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. So, how did you get started into all this paranormal stuff?
It all kind of started when I was young. I had a strange paranormal experience, but I didn't really do anything with it. With the actual exploration of paranormal, like physically going out to places and doing stuff and writing extensively, not just writing stuff and not completing it, but extensive writing and stuff like that. That really didn't totally kick off until probably in the early 2000s. Prior to that, yeah, I had a lot of paranormal experiences, but I hadn't filmed anything. I hadn't really wrote anything extensive, and I really didn't go out and have like a group of people where we went out to areas that have had past history of it. More or less, I just took what came to me and spoke of it, but nothing more than that.
So, what was one of your first experiences?
One of my first ones I talked about on a couple other shows too. I was on a street called Niantic Avenue in Cranston, Rhode Island, where I grew up. I live in Warwick now. Cranston's only the next city. And I was 14 years old. It was the summer of 1988. And I went over a friend's house, but he wasn't home. And his street was like slightly angled. And I was on my bicycle. So as you know, anyone ever rode a bike, when you can't pedal up a hill or you don't want to, you just lean into the handlebars and walk your way up the hill. So it was a very slight incline. And right at the top of his hill, Niantic goes off onto a little bridge. It's not a busy bridge or anything, but it's a little bridge that goes down another part of Niantic into Providence. I was on the Cranston side. So I'm at the top of it, and I happened to look down the street and I saw Abraham Lincoln walking up on the side of the road across the street. The hat, the suit, kind of pulling on his suit jacket, looking around. And I'm looking at it on this hot day. Now, you got to remember, too, I was a kid that didn't drink alcohol. I didn't do drugs. I was just a normal, buck-toothed braces with a mullet on my bicycle at 14 years old in 1988. I see him. I watch him go around the corner to where I couldn't see him anymore. So I walked my bicycle a little further up, and he was gone. And there was no way for him to be gone. So I remember it was a great experience, not only seeing something strange on a hot July day in 1988, it was a good experience for me with my dad because it was a positive moment because I rode my bike home full speed. And as soon as I got in the house, my dad said, "What did you do?" Because you could see I'm all sweaty, my hair's all wet. He knew I was either in trouble or I did something. And I told him exactly what I just told you. And he goes, "Get in the car." So he drove me the half mile or quarter mile over there. I told him exactly what I saw. And he looked at me and he goes, "Are you scared?" And I said, No, it was just, I don't know where you went. And my dad said, "I've seen a lot of odd things in my life too that I can't explain. And I just don't want you to be scared of it." He goes, but he believed me like that. And I always remembered that moment. Not that he really ever doubted me much, but you can get in a lot of trouble in the 80s. Kids could. There was always something to do, always something going on. And I
Right.
was a kid where I said, I'm going that way. I always went that way. Yeah, hey, I don't want you going there. That's where I would go. So
Yeah,
I didn't like restrictions. So he was,
right.
all 100% believed me. And I think as a first paranormal experience, it was actually, if you think of it, a positive one because I had that bonding moment in a sense with my father.
Yeah, that is very special type of bonding that you did have. I mean, a lot of people don't have that support with their parents, so that's great that you did.
I think that's the only thing I ever brought to his attention outside of bad grades. And those, he had a
Oh,
sign for it, so I had to show those. So, or being sent home or something, ridiculous when you're a kid,
yeah,
detention, stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. Wow. So he was very supportive with this and he was very open. Did he say any stories that he had?
Yeah, he actually did. He told me one that happened in 1963 when my parents got married. And they had, I guess they were newlyweds and they lived in the same apartment in Cranston for 20 years. And then we moved to a different place after that, but also in Cranston. So they're in the same third floor apartment. I guess they're newlyweds in the kitchen, laughing, joking. And they had gone to a yard sale and bought an old record player that apparently belonged to an old lady that had passed away. And my father said it was down the hall. Now, this was kind of a long, slant ceiling, third floor apartment back, 1963. I lived there too as a kid, of course, until I think it was 83 or 84 when we moved out. But he said, we're in the kitchen laughing and joking, and the record player came on down the hall. So my mother slapped my father's arm and said, "Hey, you stop it. I know you like to play games." And he got scared and he goes, "I'm not playing games." He went down the hall. The record was on the turntable and the needle was on and it was playing an old record that he hadn't put on there. So he broke it up, he said, and threw it away in three different garbage bags. So I always
Oh,
remembered him
wow.
telling me that. I guess that was in 63. I remember they got
Wow.
married the fourth season of The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone came out in 59. So I guess that's how I remember it, 63, third or fourth season.
That's cute. That's funny. Oh, so how did you react after you saw Abraham Lincoln? How did you react to that?
Well, as a kid, there's so much coming at you. I mean, around that time, Nintendo was getting big. You're getting close to driving a car in a year and a half to 2 years. Girls are looking at you differently. You're getting older. You're working your way into the ninth grade. There's a lot coming at you. So I really knew of the story, told a few friends, and then life goes on. And then, but I've noticed a lot of things that took place in those years. You remember them more so when you're older. They come to you more often in your 40s and 50s. Not just paranormal, but like just a lot of things. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of things you remember more when you're older. I don't know why. Like I've been talking about like my childhood and stuff now more so in my 40s and 50s than I ever did in my 20s and 30s. I don't know why, but maybe it's just me.
To me, I feel like I talk more about my childhood when you have kids
Yeah, I
because you're
never had
trying
kids,
to,
so yeah.
oh, okay. So that's a different one. But um, yeah, I went back into childhood when I kind of got into this and I started remembering, oh yeah, I did have this experience. But there's one experience when I saw three heads coming out of my grandma's trash cans. She had like
Yeah.
three 55-gallon trash barrels that she would burn her trash in. And I was walking by that one time when I was around 6 years old, and I saw three little faces poking up out of
Yeah.
those trash cans. Yeah.
Like they
And
lifted the lid or
no, there was no lids on it, no lids
oh,
on them. So they just poked their up to their nose, just kind of like out like this.
that's scary.
And yeah, I never walked by those trash cans again. That scared me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. My grandma passed in when was it? About 2002. And when from early 70s, I never did walk by those trash cans by myself.
Hmm.
I was like, no, I didn't want to have that happen again, you know?
There's something gives you a weird feeling where you saw something that's, you're probably smart not to go near it because, especially it left you with that kind of impression at such a young age.
Yeah, it did something to me. And yeah, and that about, I'd probably say 30 feet from those trash cans, there was a
Yeah.
road that she had that went out to the barn because she had 10 acres. And so me and a couple siblings and cousins were sitting there exploring this big footprint in the road. Everybody's like, well, no, that's just dad's footprint. And I'm like, no, this is way too big to be dad's footprint. I'm thinking, I remember thinking, no, this isn't right. But yeah, that property had a lot of, well, a couple things that happened on it.
It was just
Yeah.
one print or a series of prints?
It was just one print that I remember. We were just all gathered around this one print and talking
Oh,
about it. And I'm sitting here, I remember thinking, this is, can't be dad's. It's way too big.
no.
But they're like, oh, it's just dad's. Then you look back, it's like, if it was just dad's, why are we sitting here observing it? You know?
Yeah, it's true.
So we would have thought twice about it if it was just dad's. We just kept walking,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. And then I started watching here recently, started watching a show with man, I'm so bad with names. Um, but anyways, she grew up in the real close to where this property was. And so there was a lot of stuff going on where she was at. A
Hmm.
lot of different stuff, UFOs and just mutilations and all this stuff going on over where she was. And it was probably no more than 10 miles from where I was at. So
Wow.
you kind of wonder how this stuff, if there was any connection with what we were seeing versus what was going on, or what I saw versus what this lady had seen.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's very, very interesting. And I don't know. I don't know. It's so close, but so there's sounds like there's possibly some connection. So
What's weird about this episode already is that how you have to log your name in before you get entered?
uh-huh.
Mine logged in with just JBNIM, 5 letters of my email, and it logged me in. So now it says it on the screen, JBNIM. Usually you have to put the whole name in and hit enter. I entered automatically with just a quarter of the email.
That's funny.
A little
That's
weird.
pretty cute.
I've never seen that happen before. JBNIM on the screen.
That's interesting.
Yeah, kind of just did it. Just wanted me to interview, I guess. So it sucked me in.
It's a special name for you tonight.
Yeah, I know. Huh?
Yeah. So you have some experiences going in on in your current home. Is this correct?
Yeah, my condo had it. I was there for 11 years and 7 months. I had a lot there, and in this house now, this June is 7 years. I didn't have any at first, but now they're becoming more active. And then they don't show shadows. I haven't had a shadow in this house. The condo I did, like very solid images on the wall that would go behind a doorway, and you could physically see it. It was like a large oval. Here, I've had none of that. What I have had here, one instance that didn't happen that long ago, I was watching Rocky 4, and you know how loud that can be when Rocky's fighting Ivan Drago, the Russian. And I'm watching it in the living room. My girlfriend got up to use the bathroom, and I'm still watching. She's watched it, made her watch it at least 50 times, so I didn't have to stop the movie. She's already knows what happens.
Yeah.
So she went to the bathroom, and I could hear two women talking a little above Rocky fighting in the fight scene with Ivan Drago, but it was like mumbling, but loud enough that I knew it was two women. So I got up and I looked around the corner. I thought maybe she was mumbling on her phone. And I said, hey, I said, are you talking to somebody in the bathroom? She's like, I'm in the bathroom. Leave me alone. I went back in the living room on her cushion because the lights were out with the TV on, is her phone. Her phone's sitting on the cushion. But my neighbor is as silent can be. You never hear this person make any sounds at all. And I know it wasn't him because he works 3 to 11. So I'm like, what the heck is that? But it was two mumbling female sounding voices. I could hear it a little above the fight on Rocky 4. And it sounded like it was right around the corner from the TV, right in the other room. And there was, her phone's on the couch. So that's recent at this house. And then I had a funny one, which you might not find funny, and I don't have him up here right now. He's in the basement. His name's Jemmy. He's a puppet that I have, and I got him out in Iowa. I was out in Iowa with the military for a year between 2014 and 2015, and this guy left it in my office thinking it was funny. He goes, "Oh, you like strange stuff?" He lived in Davenport. We were at Camp Dodge in Des Moines, and it's about 2.5 hours away. So he had gone home to see his family. He came back with this puppet and left it in my office. So I'm in the office. He goes, he's giggling in the hallway. I said, "What are you giggling about on a Monday morning?" And he goes, "Oh, it's in your office." I said, "What is it?" I go in there and there's a puppet in there. But he's like a 1960s looking puppet with the turtleneck and the striped shirt. So I named him Jemmy, Gemmie. And I've had him now for 10 years. Well, my friend's father passed about 4 years ago. And he was staying here for about 3 or 4 days in my extra room. So as a joke, just to kind of make him laugh, he's a big guy, big giant Swedish guy. And we were in the military together. So I had a little rocking chair with Jemmy in it. And I told him, if you stay in that room, you're going to stay in the room with Jemmy. Now, I wasn't going to make him stay in the room with Jemmy. We're in the kitchen laughing. All of a sudden, all the power goes out. Now, I thought maybe something happened. There was no rain, no wind. It wasn't bad weather. I go outside. Everybody has power but this house. So Nick, his name's Nick, my friend, he comes out with me with my girlfriend, and we're looking around. Now, he's a master electrician. And he goes, "Oh, man," he goes, "I can check your power box." I said, "Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back inside." He goes, "What?" I said, "Jemmy." He goes, "Get out of here." So we go in the other room. The light from the blinds is right on his face, and he's in the rocking chair. So I picked Jemmy up, and I said, "We're going to take Jemmy back to the basement." Now, we're all adults 4 years ago. You got Nick, he's this big. You got my girlfriend. We're nicely taking Jemmy back to his box that has locks on it, and I locked him back in the box. Now, he's been out of the box 3 times, and 3 times weird things have happened, like out of the box for extended periods of time, but he's never moved or done anything. He may be a conduit to something, but he's never caused anything horrible. I think that was more or less maybe a coincidence, but I have never lost power since. It's been 4 years. So is it a coincidence, or is it him just telling you, "Hey, you're okay, you treat me good, but this is what I can do"? You never know. So, I mean, my friend Nick, he's not really into the paranormal, but this is a big guy too, 6'4", 6'5", and he's like, "Jemmy's a good boy, just put him back in the box." He goes, "That's freaky. We tripped the breakers and never had a problem again." That's kind of strange. A coincidence or strange? I think it's odd.
Well, if it's happened multiple times, you said 3 or 4 times,
Yeah, not with the power though, just weird things.
just different things.
Yeah, like revolving around him, like things that are odd. Like I had one that was kind of extensive. I spend a lot of time each year, not a lot of time, but at least twice a year, I go to the Bridgewater Triangle. Have you ever heard of that? It's like
Yeah.
a paranormal area in the United States. Well, it's only about 30 miles from here. My friend lives in the center. He lives not the big Swedish guy. He lives down in Virginia. My friend lives in Taunton, and my other buddy, he's part of my paranormal group. And he only told me about it in 2001. He goes, "Hey, you ever go to the Bridgewater Triangle?" And I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "You go all over the world doing this stuff. You never heard of the Bridgewater Triangle?" I said, "No." And he took me there. We had weird incidents take place almost every time that we've been there. So you got Taunton in the center. You got Abington, Freetown, and Rehoboth kind of make up the points of the triangle. And the forest there is the Freetown forest. Well, me being me, I dug a big crystal out of the ground, and I thought it was cool. And I cleaned it in a puddle out there in the woods. And I said, "You want to take it home?" He goes, "Dude, it's awesome, but I'm not taking anything home from here." My friend Rich said, the guy who lives in Taunton. And I said, I'll take it home. I didn't think anything of it. I take it home. This is so he introduced me to the place in 2021. This had to be 2024 because I went to Bermuda in 2024. So I have this big crystal in my basement. It's been in the basement now for months prior to my Bermuda trip. Now, when I went to Bermuda, I didn't know, I wasn't only near the Bermuda Triangle. I went on a glass bottom boat to Daniel Head Island. It's the most furthest point of the Bermuda Triangle. I think it's the northern, some point. I can't remember exactly the number behind it, but it's Daniel Head Island is a point of the Bermuda Triangle. It's like 700 miles. Like Bermuda is off the coast of, I think, South Carolina. 700 miles east off the coast of that, and it's the northernmost point of the Bermuda Triangle. So here I'm going to this island. I got the crystal from the Bridgewater Triangle, and in my basement, this big crystal I dug out of the ground. It's been down there for months with Jemmy in his box. I'm visiting Daniel Head Island outside in the Bermuda Triangle. I come home, and after I came home, there's no problems in Bermuda. No problems on the ship. The toilet flushed once by itself, but I don't know if that's something that toilets do on ships. I have no idea. That's the strangest thing that happened on the boat. When we came back, my girlfriend and I, we had problems for 90 days. And Jimmy was out of the box the whole trip. I usually, if I go out of town, I'll put him in his rocking chair out of the box with a note with a derogatory thing on it. So if somebody breaks in the house, that's the first thing they see. So I think if I was that kind of person that would break into somebody's house, you have a flashlight and you shine it on a 1960s puppet holding his mouth's open and he's holding a sign saying something rotten, I probably wouldn't rob that house because I would think, A, I was on camera or somebody's in the house and they're getting ready to get me and I'm the robber. You know what I mean? So Jimmy was over here. He never moved. The sign never fell, nothing like that. But with him being out of the box, me having that crystal in the basement for months prior, me going to the Bermuda Triangle, Daniel Head Island, everything happened after that. I came home, we had a mouse, okay, that no one saw. We had mouse droppings, and now this is the funny part, my basement door here, it's an old house, 1950s house. The basement door has never, ever been closed since I lived here. So if we did have mice, they would have been up and down the stairs or coming in the house. We found droppings in the house. We got exterminators, whole 9 yards. They saw the droppings, not one mouse. Never saw a mouse. Now, this is 2024. Here I am in 2026. I still never saw a mouse. I have an exterminator that comes for the checks. They come every couple months. He goes, you have no mice. Strange, huh? So that happened. My refrigerator flooded my house, and I couldn't find the shutoff valve in the basement. That happened. This is all within a couple of months. Like this is like month after month. It lasted for 90 days. First, the freezer died, and the refrigerator wasn't that old. Okay, so it was a nice refrigerator. I couldn't find the shutoff valve because when I slid it out just a little, not even a lot, I had a lot of coil in the back of the refrigerator. The copper line broke, and I couldn't find the shutoff. It flooded my entire kitchen. I couldn't get the refrigerator out of the house because they brought the refrigerator in when the sliding door was just a big hole. So, and it was a giant refrigerator, even bigger than this one. So I didn't want to take the sliding door apart and not be able to put it back together because that can be a project in itself. And I couldn't get it out the front door. So I had to get a Sawzall and cut the refrigerator in half. The new refrigerator, they couldn't get through the front door because they measured it wrong. So here I am now, all that food went, flooded the house, couldn't get this thing out. I had to cut it with this big Sawzall's about, has a handle like this and a blade like that, and it cuts through metal. So I'm like, damn, so you can picture this project. First, I tried it the Jason way. I took the doors off, I took everything off. It still wouldn't slide through the doorway to go out the front door. So I had to get the Sawzall. So I made it like an all-day project, and it was kind of taxing. My mom has been ill for a while, and she declined significantly a week after I returned. So that was something else. And she didn't now need me with nurses' aides going there. She needed me there 7 days a week, which I've been doing ever since. So now I go over there 7 days a week. But this happened a week after the return. So this is a lot of stuff. I had to take a class that summer. I went back to college to get another bachelor's degree because I still had GI Bill money left. So I finished up in 2024, December. I graduated with another bachelor's degree in film from URI. I had transferred in physics, algebra, trig, biology, everything I would need for math and sciences. And they said, you still need another math. And I said, for a film degree? So back and forth fighting, substantiating. Yes, you have these credits. Yes, we accept them. You still need this. All the way up the chain, just like a military thing, all up the chain. You still need this credit. This class was a horrible, horrible class, and it was 32 days long to get a whole semester of college. So during all this, I'm doing all this stuff, okay? And in my mind, I'm picturing there's a mouse in the house. Right now, I don't have a refrigerator. I'm between refrigerators. I'm doing this class. I got to go to my mom's 3 times a day while I'm doing this horrible class that had like 7 hours of homework a day. It was horrible. I did very well in it. When I finished it, they said, you didn't need it. Somebody who had common sense looked into it and said, why did you take this with all the classes you transferred in? So that happened. I'm taking an online take-home test type of thing, and it's timed during this time period. And I hear in the basement. I thought it was a giant rat in the air vent. I didn't know what it was. I called the exterminator company. They sent a different guy out. He goes down there and comes out with a bird. I had a bird in there. He brings the bird upstairs and took him out and let him out. My girlfriend is petrified of birds. I love animals, but I'm a little scared of birds. I always picture them plucking my eye out. She's like panicky, like she'll run into a wall scared over birds. She was at work. I'm sitting here sweating through this test. I'm still doing the test when the guy got here. I told him he's down there. The whole basement was full of feathers. He got it out. It must have come in through the vent and got stuck. Lucky it was summer and the heat wasn't on, because I have oil. So he gets the bird out. I'm back to doing the test again. I get da-da-da-da-da on the side of the house. I'm walking toward this wall and I'm like, what the heck is that? Da-da-da-da. I go out the side door. It's a woodpecker hitting the house. And I'm like, hey, stop. I said, what are you? I yelled at the bird. I said, what are you doing? You don't know what I have going on. And he was like, and took off. I go back, I finished it, and I passed. So this is all going on during all this stuff. So Jemmy never did anything through all that physically, but was he out of the box for the 7, 8 days I was gone? Yeah. He was sitting here guarding the door with his sign saying something, prolific to whoever decides to break in. So it was probably more than that too. Oh yeah, I got my toe got infected. Here's your toenail, right? Here's your toe. Here's your toenail. Usually toenails grow up. Mine grew from down here into my foot and infected my foot during this 90 days. So I had to get my toenail cut on both sides, and they had to slit it to fix it. And I still had to go to class because I have taken another class too, which wasn't as bad. So I had all this going on. My mom, the refrigerator, this potential mouse that nobody sees, but there's droppings. Did Jimmy was involved in this? Wasn't he? We had a bird there. I had to get like a cage put up top around the vent so nothing could get in, even something small. Because what happens is they get caught in the tube and they can't flap their wings. But he must have gone into another vent that goes across the house, and he was running in there, panicked, I guess. I thought it was like a giant rat because I never saw a mouse, but we didn't have a rat. It was just in my head, because you're trying to do this test and you're trying to do everything else. So I know I threw a lot at you, but that was a dramatic period that I potentially could blame on Jemmy. Sorry, Jemmy, I'm not blaming you, but you're the only thing that was in the house out of the box that I could, point a finger at. The crystal, I ended up taking it like what's that thing in the Olympics where they throw the ball?
Shot put.
Did that on the bridge, and it's called Patuxent Village in Cranston. There's all people out there eating ice cream, and I'm out there with this rock. I did a twirl and threw the crystal into the water. And I called my friend Rich, and I said, guess where the crystal is? He goes, in your basement? I said, nope, it's in the ocean. And I threw it over the bridge, and what was that? That was all my bottles of water just fell. That was funny. It was kind of strange that just happened, but yeah, bottles of water like in an open package, they all just fell. That's weird. But that's all in this house. Now, in the basement, I did a show maybe a month, maybe 2 months ago. Greg Gilbert's Python's Paradise. It's a Canadian show, and the guy was nice enough to have me on the show. I thought it was pretty cool. So he asked, he goes, "What's the last paranormal thing that ever happened to you?" And I said, I think it was either yesterday or today, but it was today of that show 2 months ago. In my basement, I have an oil tank. Excuse me. I have an oil tank in the basement, and I've been letting it get dusty because I get fingerprints in the dust. Now, I have no kids. She has no kids. I go to the basement to wash clothes and work out. She really only goes down there to go through plastic totes and things like that. She doesn't do a whole heck of a lot down there. I noticed, first off, 4 fingertips in the dust one day, because I have 5 different lights in my basement. So when you walk in, if you just turn the hallway light on going down the stairs, you can't really, it just looks like a black oil tank. If you turn that other light on, it illuminates the oil tank. I happened to turn that light on one day, and I noticed the 4 fingertips. And I said, I never touched the oil tank really, but it could have been maybe in passing I did it, so I wrote it off. Another time, it looked like Army sergeant rank upside down. It looked like an upside down, like if you take the letter V, 3 upside down V's with a line through it and a dot off to the side. It had to physically have been drawn by a person. And I know she didn't do it. And I had taken a picture of it. I let that one go. The most recent one I have in my phone, I could show it to you, but it'd be very hard to see. And that's the one that happened. I think it was the night before that day of Greg Gilbert's show 2 months ago. This one freaked me out. It looks like 4 fingers pressed on like the curve of, oil tank kind of curves.
Yeah.
Long fingers with one of them bent outward, where you couldn't even do it with your hand. And if you drew it, it wouldn't look like that. So it looked like 4 fingers, a space, a rectangular palm, and a long thumb. Looked like if this is the curve of the oil tank, looked like somebody or something rolled its hand on the curve like that. And I took a picture of it. Now, when the oil guy came over one day, I showed it to him. And he's like, "Dude, what is that?" And I said, I explained it to him. He liked paranormal stuff, but he was freaked out. He goes, "That looks like a hand of like a demon or something." Because you figure if you count where the fingers are, the length of the palm and the length of the thumb, it's about that long and narrow. So, and that I took a picture of. So I wiped that off.
Okay.
And I'm letting the dust accumulate, and I haven't had anything since. I haven't seen anything. That's the biggest thing. I'm down there washing clothes, and I don't want to see something down there when I'm working out, and I haven't. So I don't think it's evil or, looking for me or looking to get anything. I think maybe it's just something in the house. You never know.
Just wanting, yeah, that's, yeah, that is a lot of stuff. Yeah, maybe it's just letting you know it's there and just wants you to know, it's just,
the
I'm here.
handprint's weird, though. That was weird. The handprint, when I looked at it, I called her down. She was watching TV, and she goes, "Oh, you did that." And I said, "I didn't do that. I wouldn't joke with you about that. That's not drawn. You can tell the little finger looks like it was not bent, even if your little finger was broken, you wouldn't be able to put it on there like that. The way the curve, it was weird. I look at it in my phone, I show it to people, they're like, ugh. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look like a drawing. They're like, no, because the way the tips are here, then there's a space. And then there's the rest of the finger, the rectangular palm, and the long thumb. It looks like it's rolled down it. But there's only one of them. Like the foot you said you found, there's only 1 foot, 1 footprint. This is only 1 handprint. It's not 2.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah. Anything in your bathroom? I'm curious about your bathroom. Anything in there?
A bang on the wall sometimes, but even when the water is off. And normal noise when you have an oil tank, when the oil's kicking on. The house, it's an older house, you'll hear some noise. But I've had a couple of bangs in there. And I've had a couple where I've gotten up at night to go to the bathroom and I hear the talking under the bathroom in the basement. It's sometimes a guy and a girl, but they're whispering. It's like, like an answer, but it's not enough for me to say I heard words, because they're not exact words. It's mumbling. 2 people. And when I was watching Rocky, it was 2 females. So sometimes when I go to the bathroom, it's a guy and a girl. And I've heard it in bed, where I'm laying in bed and I'm wide awake and I'm listening to them. There's somebody talking downstairs, but whispering.
Interesting. Yeah, I say that because what I understand is I have watchers in my bathroom. Have you heard of watchers?
No.
No. My understandings with them is they're entities that just watch you.
Now,
They
how do
just
you know
watch
they're
you.
there? You got like a picture of them or?
Um, I've got pictures of what I saw, but
Mhm.
it's when I take a shower I take hot showers.
Yeah.
And when I get out of the shower in my mirror, I have all these different faces that I see
Oh,
in the mirror. And so I outline it with my finger so that the camera would pick it up. So I outline it and get a picture before it starts, dripping. Um,
yeah.
but I have all kinds of different faces from poking around the corner to like flat out in the middle of the mirror to there's two in one,
Are they
two
hand
faces.
drawn? Or, like are they
No,
are
they're
they hand?
faces. They're
Why, you
just
still live there?
faces.
You still live in the same house?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
live there. That's scary. I don't think
Hasn't
I'd live
scared me.
there. Oh,
It doesn't
that's
scare me,
creepy.
but it's you just see faces in the mirror. And so I just outline it with my finger the best
Yeah.
I can and then get a picture of it. But yeah, I've gotten multiple faces in the mirror looking at me. It's
Wow.
really weird. It's really crazy. So yeah, it's yeah, sometimes I had to like call my husband, get my phone real fast, hurry, hurry, hurry before it starts dripping,
What does
because
he
then
say about them?
um, he's kind of on the fence with it. He's
Mhm.
very skeptical still. Um, he he's trying to understand it. He's getting better with it, but he's just kind of like, okay, Dana. And then he's like, do what you need to do. He's very, very, very supportive of everything I do with this. But he's like, there's got to be some sort of explanation for it. So
Yeah.
he's still on the skeptical side. He's more of the scientist side of it. He wants proof, but he has witnessed several things with me.
Oh.
So, we've had a fairy talk to us, say hello to us on a walk.
Now,
And
you said a fairy, you said?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
funny you just said that. And what's creepy about that is I was just about to give you a story of a fairy in this house that I never spoke to, but it was a nice day and I was going out the front door and something was fluttering about that size, kind of gold color, goldish. I'd say it was gold, kind of clear. And I'm walking out the door and I looked and I turned and actually bumped into the wall and it went behind the TV set. And I remember telling her about it and I said, it didn't look like anything but a gold fluttery thing. But since you said fairy, it was about that size as you would imagine it being.
imagine it.
And it was
Okay.
there and it went behind the TV before my eyes could grasp any characteristics outside of the size. So that's funny you said that because I was just thinking that when you said it. That's weird. Really,
Yeah,
really weird.
yeah, we were on a walk because we go through and we pick up trash once in a while. We'll find a spot and we'll just go pick up trash. And so we're on this trash walk and we get to this corner and there's the bush and everything right there. And we get to the corner. I'm picking something up. He's at the corner. I'm down a little bit. And I typically have cargo pants on or shorts,
Mhm.
cargos. And but this time I didn't. I didn't have pockets in my shorts at this point. And I hear this hello from where I would have my phone or what in my pocket.
Yeah.
But again, I don't have pockets on. So I'm hearing that. I turn around and I'm like, did you hear that? To my husband. And he turns around and he does a quick spin and looks all the way around. There's no cars around. There's no people around. There's nothing. There's nobody around
Hmm.
that we saw. There was nobody around. And he said, yeah, I did.
Hmm.
And he says it came from where I was standing, but I heard it from down low. He heard it from up here.
Wow.
So, but it was just the plainest hello. Very pleasant, very kind, very like, very sweet, very loving. It was just the beautiful sounding hello. And he
Wow.
heard it plain as day, and I heard it plain as day. Like it was like we're talking right now, just almost louder than what we're speaking. It was just like, hello. It was just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
That's funny. You had a fairy thing, and we both have a hello story. My friend died a month after my dog. My dog died Friday, April 22nd, 2016. My friend, who fought in 22 battles in World War II, he was 95 years old. He died May 24th, 2016.
Thank you
Nicest
for
man in the
serving.
world. Oh, he was a excellent, just a gentleman, something type of gentleman you wouldn't see anymore, like to that level from a better time, just a completely
Mm-hmm.
better time, just like just a gentleman, just an all around great guy. He was like 90 years old, and I could talk to him like I'm talking to you. I mean, he was sharp, and then he just got sick and passed. He was gone now, and I'm going to my mom's for dinner. My girlfriend's driving. I'm in her vehicle. I call my mom. This is another everything that takes place in my life is normally on a sunny day, which is weird. It's usually during 80% of my stories are during nice weather. She's driving. I go to call my mom. This is like 2016, maybe 20. He died in 2016, so maybe 2017. She answers the phone, my mother, and goes, "Hello," in his voice. And Gabby heard it. Gabby went, "The chief," because his nickname was the chief. And I said, "Ma," I said, "Oh, who are you with there?" She goes, "What? What? What's wrong with you?" In her voice. I said, "When you answered the phone, it was Ed's voice." And she goes, "Well, I don't know. I just answered the phone." I said, "Do you need anything?" She goes, "No." I said, "All right, we're on our way." I look at her and she went, "Oh," my girlfriend went, "That was his voice." It went, "Hello." It's a distinctive hello. And my little mom didn't do it. And that's creepy. And we both heard it. So that whenever you have an experience that two people see or hear, when you have a witness, there's nothing you can, and there's nothing that else that could have been. It wasn't static. Because my mom talks like this. He went, "Hello."
Yeah.
And a nice sunny day, and I don't know what month, but a nice day.
Yeah.
So
And this was definitely not my voice.
yeah,
Definitely
and you
wasn't
never
mine.
know what's coming through here and there, especially with digital equipment, phones
Hmm.
and things like EVPs and stuff. You never know. I mean, he could have been trying to make some type of contact or something at that moment, and you know,
Yeah.
weird.
You
I had
never
another
know.
time. No, you don't. I had another time. I always get the year wrong. Um, I'm not even going to say the year. 2008, 2009, 2010, probably 2007. I get this story wrong every time. Long story short, the big giant Swedish guy again. He's up with his girlfriend, and he's driving. She's in the back seat. I'm the passenger. They come up. She's from Mass. He's from here. They live in Virginia. They wanted to go to Salem when they came up. I said, "Oh, cool." We're driving to Salem, and me and him have exchanged stories about everything too. Because I used to live in Indiana. Da da da. He was both active duty military, so we have tons of stories. He's talking about a college I went to in Indiana, and I still talk to my teacher today, one of my teachers from like 1999. So I hadn't talked to him in a while at that point. I had visited him like in '02 out in Indiana. I hadn't really spoken to him now. I'd say it was probably 6, 7, 8 years, up to this point. We're in the car driving to Salem. My friend is driving and he's talking about this guy. His name's Bob. My Blackberry, which I had, rang. I look, it's a 317 area code. I answer it. I was like, "Hello?" And Bob sounds like Chuck Norris. Talks kind of like this. That's how he talks. He'd be like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" That's his voice. It's like kind of like, sounds like Chuck Norris when he talks. I answered the phone. It was Bob. He just asked about Bob. You still talk to your teacher, Bob from Indiana? I answered the phone. I said, Bob? He goes, yeah. How you doing, man? I was like, good. I said, I'm on my way to Salem with two friends. My buddy's driving, and he just asked about my teacher from Indiana, and you called. And he goes, that is strange, isn't it, Jason? The way he said it
You
made me
know.
like have goosebumps, but he didn't mean to. It's just the way he said it. He goes, well, I won't keep you. Give me a call sometime. I said, all right, sure. I'll see you, Bob. I hang up and I look at him and he's driving and he's like, what? He goes, that was your teacher? He goes, I said it. You haven't talked to the guy in like 7 years, 8 years, whatever. And he called. That's creepy. Maybe it's, just one of those things, but you're on your way to Salem too. And on top of it, when we were in Salem, I had a really cool picture. I'd have to cover her face to show it to you, but she was behind the wax museum. There's an old 1600s graveyard, and it was starting to drizzle, and they had a little digital camera back then. So she goes, "Oh, take my picture." She's holding up the umbrella. Soon as I snapped the picture, her umbrella gets pulled in the other direction, like completely. Like picture umbrellas like this, getting pulled in the opposite direction. And she had to literally hold with both hands. It got pulled that night, and I snapped the picture right in that, and it's nothing but orbs. It looks like something actually coming around her. And I have a photo of it, like grabbing her. That's how creepy of a picture it is. I can actually grab the picture. If you hold on one
Oh,
second, we'll
wow.
get the picture.
Yeah. How are you guys liking it? Is this pretty cool or what? He's got lots of these stories and it's fantastic. I love that he's got
I'm
these
covering her
stories.
face in the picture, but if you can see, like you can see that's her body with her arm, and that's her umbrella, and that's the orbs around her. It literally, you look at the umbrellas in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
It's like an umbrella that has like black and white triangles,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of odd, like the
Yeah.
Bridgewater Triangle or the Bermuda Triangle has triangles all over. But it snapped her umbrella with such force that she's small, and she was like, oh, like that. But right when I hit the button, so they didn't send it back then. Like people weren't texting. You had a camera. It's not her cell back then. It was a digital camera. She emails it to me eventually, and I'm downstairs, and she goes, hey, go to your email, because they knew my laptop was upstairs when I lived at the condo. So if it was condo, I moved here 2019. Maybe it was 2007, 2008. I thought it was 10, around that time frame. I opened it up on the email. I was like, whoa. Because if you could only see this up close, there's like, I don't know how well you can see it. There's orbs everywhere. You can see the white. That's the orb. I mean, it's literally around, looks like a bird, like a giant bird with wings surrounding her. It's like the
Yeah.
creepiest picture. Yeah, it's mind blowing. And I was like, wow. So between the call with Bob saying, hey, man, he goes, that is strange, isn't it? Right after he asks, we get there and that happens. I mean, it's kind of cool around Halloween when you're on your way to Salem and in Salem and something like that takes place. It just makes it better, because you want to experience something. You just shouldn't look for things to experience, because the things that find you are, more interesting, the ones you go search for. Like I think personally.
You think so?
Yeah, because I
Okay.
don't search for it much. Like I'll go to the Bridgewater Triangle with my friend, but what the Bridgewater Triangle really is a giant park. There's people riding bicycles there. I mean, it has a lot of energy. But my
Hmm.
friend Rich, when we go up there, like this guy, this is Nick, the big Swedish guy. That's his girl from that picture. My friend Rich, he lives out, and the guy who lives in the center of the Bridgewater Triangle. The first time we went there, now this is something that he was surprised I knew nothing about. The first instance we had, we get there, we parked on what's called Copper Cut Road. Now there's a story on that road where there's a ghost truck driver that chases people. That didn't happen to us. But we were there during the day. And we like the hiking too, because there's old ruins. You can find all kinds of stuff. It's awesome going out there. It's just interesting. We went out there, first time ever going there. I think this was 2021, because he told me about it, and then I ended up going to his house and we went. Um, we're walking through the woods, not even a half mile in, and we heard crack of a branch. Now, still to this day, he and I discussed that. He goes, it was a deer, he told me, stepping on something. And I said, I know deers can be big. That echoed. And we were only maybe a quarter of a mile in, give or take. It sounded like a branch to me being ripped off a tree, not something being stepped on. It just didn't sound like that. And if something even this big broke, it wouldn't sound like that. So that was always something we had. We're walking and walking and walking. And this is during the day through the woods. He's in front of me, maybe 6 feet. I happened to look behind me and something did this behind a tree. And it was a black oval. And I saw it as clear as that. And I said nothing. And we kept walking. Now, about a mile out, he goes, whoa, 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 did you see that? I said, what? He goes, something leaned out behind a tree. And I was like, I saw it back there, man. I didn't want to be the guy to see it. I didn't say anything. He saw it.
I don't want to be that guy.
I said, I don't want to be the guy since, you know, I like paranormal and I write about, I don't want to be that guy. So I kept it quiet and then he saw it. So we both saw something in the woods, the similar thing, as if it was looking at us and then it was ahead of us or there was more than one. So that was awesome. We always talk about that, you know, first time in the triangle and that takes place. That's a cool experience.
Yeah, I'm looking to do that.
Yeah, it's worth going because, like, even if you go there and you take pictures, like random pictures, which a lot of people do, like in an odd direction, I don't think you have to do much to pick up something there. You know what I mean? Even if something doesn't show itself to you, kind of like that did with us. But there's people that have like good backgrounds and not seeking any type of attention that have had pretty profound stories from that area. I mean, you can go online and see them. I mean, there's, you know, people have seen all kinds of stuff. I mean, that's probably the extent of what we've seen, like physically saw. Like I never saw anything that had a solid image, like that's a werewolf. I never saw anything like that there. But seeing the black oval during the day, that clear, lean out, and then having him tell me the same thing, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I think, anyway.
Yeah, that would be kind of creepy. Yeah, I had the going to your shadow. I had a shadow in my bedroom one time in my current home. And that was like a 6 foot tall shadow. And I saw it out the corner of my eye, you know, like you always do, right? And when I turned to look, it left and it had like this vampire type cape on. So you could see that it came up along the neck. And then when he took off, the cape did the wave like this.
That's creepy.
When he left. Yeah.
My girlfriend's apartment, when we just started dating, she lived in Warren, Rhode Island. And we're laying in bed quiet one night, and I thought she was sleeping. I'm watching a shadow go from the corner of her room across the ceiling. And I asked her, are you awake? She goes, yes. I didn't know she was awake. I said, do you see what I see? She goes, the shadow going across the ceiling. She was watching it too. It went behind, it went up one, like where the walls meet, went up one wall, across the ceiling, like another black oval, down and disappeared behind her TV set, which was on a table. So we were like freaked, but we both saw it at the same time. And where her bedroom was, there was one window. And the other window, there's a house over there. So nothing could cause that shadow. If a car pulled up in the driveway, the headlights would have been straight. You know what I mean? They would have passed the window and they were lower than the window. The lights would have shined out into the yard. So we both watched that and it was a solid oval figure. And I guess the story in that house is prior to her moving in, someone had hung themselves there. So the things that she had seen in the house, she kind of thought maybe it had something to do with that. You never know. I mean, if you were trying to find a reason, you know. Yeah. But seeing that was pretty weird. I mean, because I don't know what would have formed such a solid shape like that. And at my condo that she ended up, you know, we're still together today, but she lived with me at my condo. She used to see stuff. When I was away once with the military, she said she was watching television and she happened to look to the right and there was a solid oval right in the doorway. So like if this is the doorway, it just kind of went like this when she noticed it behind the doorway to hide itself. So I had to freak her out being there alone, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, really odd stuff. Like, you never know when they're watching you, but when they're solid like that and oval shaped, you never know what it's hiding, you know, being an oval. Or maybe it's just an oval. I don't know, but it's scary enough.
Yeah. And you never know because it could be just someone poking in and just checking on you and making sure you're okay. It could be just something
Yeah, could be a good thing. Yeah.
simple. You just don't know.
Because in
Yeah.
all my experiences, I've never had anything that hurt anything. I've never been wounded, injured, hit, burned, nothing like that. I mean, the weird stuff that happened after the Bermuda Triangle with that Bridgewater Triangle crystal in the basement and Jemmy out of the box all that time. Yeah, did Jemmy have anything to do with it? Did the crystal have anything to do with it? I don't know. But that was a lot of bad problems in 90 days, and then it stopped. It stopped, and we were at the point where we're like, I can't take much more of this. And she couldn't take much more of it. It was very, very stressful because it was every week there was something else. There was other stuff too, and I don't know exactly, like car problems, house problems on top of everything. And it was just a lot, you know what I mean? And then it just ended. But nothing was like to the point of being, well, I guess my toe got infected. That's an injury, but was that just part of something that would have happened anyway? I don't know. You know, we can
Yeah.
put it in our minds that it's all because of this, but it's just weird that I haven't had any extensive problems to that extent since those 90 days, you know, or 80 days, whatever it was. They never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That is pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Have you had anything like in the yards or anything in your yard that's happened?
Not really. No, I mean, there's a graveyard behind my shed. Like behind my shed, of course, there's another property. But if you go over there, there's a graveyard. So I've always thought, now this is weird. No one said this to me. No, and I have no proof of it. My house is a World War II house. This whole neighborhood was built for guys coming home in 1950 from World War II. I always thought, and I never researched it, but I'm going to, that a guy named John watches me work out in the basement. Now I have no proof of it. Nobody told me it. I think he's a guy who returned from from World War II, and he's in the basement when I'm working out. And I've said that since the day I moved in, the first week I moved in. Isn't that strange? And I didn't know there was a graveyard over there. So I've never gone over there to look at dates. I've never put anything together for correlation of any kind. He never makes a sound. Sometimes things are moved in the basement. I've had channels changed on the little radio I have down there. It's like an old radio with an antenna. Sometimes the channels are a little moved. Could I have bumped it? Possibly. Sometimes things aren't in the place I put them, but not to such an extent that they're thrown. They're just slightly moved. So I don't know. Where would I come up with this guy, John? I was telling her that since we moved in. I think there's a guy that admires my workouts and he's in the basement. He's like, that's creepy. You saw him? I said, no, I haven't seen anybody. It's just, I got that feeling his name was John. Isn't that funny? So sometimes when I'm coming up the stairs and she's in the kitchen, I say, hey, John, I'll see you in a couple days. And she laughs because I do it as a joke. Like I'm calling down to him after I'm working out, you know. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, I don't know if it's because of the house or the graveyard, you know, but it's weird. This addition on this house, they had an addition put on in 2006. I moved in 2019. Is there somebody buried under the house? I don't know. This is Rhode Island. These areas had all kinds of bloody wars in the 1600s. So you never know what's underneath the house or what's around here.
Yeah, he could be enjoying your company.
Could be. It could be like, oh, this guy was a military guy. I was a military guy,
Mhm.
and you could be the handprint. You could be the one doing it. You never know. But it's never been anything to scam me. It's just kind of something I conjured up in my head. And I kind of just, if he's there, he's there. Hopefully, he's in a good place.
Yeah. Have you tried talking to him?
Yeah. It's funny
No.
you said that because I thought about putting baby powder in the basement near the oil tank to see if I get footprints. And I'm not going to do it because my friend Rich is all for it because he doesn't live here. He goes, oh, I'll come over with my equipment. I said, no. I said, now we're opening a door and I'm not going to do that because I live here. It's bad enough I hear voices, sometimes banging, not excessive, but like the bathroom banging where there's like, here's the tub. You'll hear a banging high up on the wall. No water had been ran for hours and the heat's off. What would bang? The houses do make noises, but one time it did it and I was in there and I'm in the mirror and it was like boom, but it sounded like a fist hitting something. And that's kind of creepy. And then I've been at this table because, I write books, I do scripts. and I've heard like something go across the roof, and it's in the attic area, and it's like a crawl space up there. And there's a wall. If you go into the attic, there's like a separation right here. Nothing could run straight. It would have to go through the opening on either side. So that's odd. Now I don't think it was on the roof running because it sounded like immediate here, and it made like a loud bang on that side. And that was during the day. It was enough for me to stop working and look at the ceiling. So things like that in this house have been odd. But my condo had a lot more. The condo was like a lot of stuff took place there, and people were sometimes even scared to stay there.
Oh, wow.
So maybe something
Wow.
followed me from there to here. You never know.
You
So
don't
yeah,
know.
but
And
it hasn't
yeah,
done anything
no,
bad. Uh,
yeah. So nothing really to worry about then. Uh, Um, and with all of the activity and everything that's happened there with the wars and everything, there could be a lot of things,
oh yeah,
a
this must have
lot
been
of
like
things that's just going on.
the death was unbelievable here. I mean, even death in general. Think of people that have lived here. I mean, they said, what, man, you say argumentatively online, we go back. I've heard 60,000 years. I've heard 120,000 years. I've heard 140,000 years. How old do our structures as we are now go back? If it was even 60,000 years, that's a lot of life that took place in this area at some point. I mean, not just stuff that we have written down saying this is exactly what happened here. I mean, what about the stuff we don't have written down? Nobody knows. I mean, this could have been whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. So if people won't go back that far, you know, as malicious and disgusting as people can sometimes be, you never know what took place. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard banging in our house too, like that.
Yeah.
Um, I would usually hear it first thing in the morning. And there for a while, it was like every morning about the same time. And it would only like bang like 3 times, bang, 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 or
Hmm.
something along that line. And I think we come to find out it is our pipes.
Oh.
It is our pipes making that noise. So, you know, that's what that is for us, anyways.
Here's a funny one for you that I still can't explain today. Um, we had a scream in our bedroom window, probably 2022, I think that, or 2021. We're both sleeping. We have to sleep with the window open. Something screamed in the window, and it was like it didn't sound like a fisher cat. It didn't sound like a coyote because fisher. We have these creatures out here called fisher cats. They sound like a baby crying, a lot like a coyote does when they're signaling, other coyotes and stuff. So I heard it and I said, she sleeps like a rock. So she sleeps through everything. I said, did you hear that? She goes, yes. She goes, what was that? I said, I don't know, but it screamed right in the window. So a couple nights later, I'm out it's called Ichigo Ichi. It's a Japanese restaurant where they cook right in front of you and they sometimes throw the food right in your mouth if you want. They'll say, hey, they'll point at you and they'll flip it off spatula. I'm telling my friend about it. He's like, oh, geez, only you, only you. And it was me, him, his wife, and my girl. So he has a cool backyard. Now he doesn't live around here now, but he had a cool backyard. It's like all woods. He goes, after this, you want to go to my house, have a few beers, and have a fire pit? I said, yeah, cool. We go over there, we're talking, and you hear that scream in the tree. And it was loud. It was way louder than my bedroom. It was like a I didn't actually see it, something with wings flying out of the tree because it was that loud. He goes, oh my God, what did you bring to my house? He actually said it and pointed at me. He was upset. And I said, that's what I heard in my bedroom window. He was like, everyone was blown away. Never heard it again after that. Never at my house. He never heard it at his house either. It was isolated here. Now, hearing it at your house, could I admit it could be a creature out in the yard, something maybe in heat, a fisher cat fighting with it could have been anything, but it was right to the window. This thing would have had to been on its tiptoes up in the window saying, let's scream in Jason and Gabby's window to be that prominent. The one at his house sounded like it was through a megaphone and it was up in the tree. And we still did the fire pit. And he had a little dog, my friend, little Jack Russell. I love dogs, but this dog here is like he's the cutest little thing and he's tough because Jack Russell's like all muscle. He didn't react to it. And he's on the ball for everything. Like he'll attack a pit bull, this dog. He's only this big, but he's got small man's disease. And he's always walking perimeter when we're out there. He guards the whole yard. He's a great little guy. And he didn't react. And I said, look at Conky, his name was Conky. I said, he never reacted. And he's like, that is weird. I said, he didn't look up in the tree. He didn't jump. He didn't do anything. Isn't I found that to be the weirdest. Because normally a dog would start barking. No reaction at all.
Right.
So that's strange. That's a strange story to have it here. And he lived, I don't know, 3 miles away, maybe. You know, to hear it later and then tell somebody, oh, I think I heard what you heard. I just got done telling him about it after it happened to us, and then it's in his yard. That's strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
Around Halloween, too. It was around Halloween, because after that, we never heard it again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in my backyard, I was out one time checking out the stars just to have fun, see if I can see a UFO or something like that, you know. So I'm like filming the sky, getting some stuff in there. And I decided to, oh, what the heck? I'm going to scan my backyard just to kind of see, just for fun. I scanned the backyard, and about 20 feet from where I was standing in my bedroom, I'm looking out the window, and there is, in my camera, you can see this entity dancing in and out of the screen. It was like doing this like little dance. And I look out with my bare eye, and there's nothing out there. I look in the screen, there's this entity doing this little dance. And so I screamed to my husband, I go, you got to come in here and be a witness to this. You have got to be my witness for this. So he comes in and he witnesses this. I go, there's nothing out there, but the camera has this entity. And so the next morning, I draw this entity on paper. And I'm like, does this look like what we saw last night? And he's like, exactly. That's exactly what it looked like. And then a few days later, I went back and I looked at it, watched the video again, and it looked completely different. It was like this red, like W motion that just moved like this.
You know, it's funny. You and I, out of every podcast, you're like my 7th podcast since December 29th that I've been on. And I don't say this to all the podcasters. You and I have had more similarities. You've said the fairy, the shadows, and the drawing something that you saw. Now, I was in Iowa from 2014 to 2015. On September 26th, 2014, I needed a break from work. So I left my house with my apartment. I was living in the Parkview apartments while I was there, and I was working out of Camp Dodge down the road. I had my driver's license, money, and a key to the apartment I was renting in my right pocket, and no alcohol in my system. And I was walking down the street to the local bar. Back then, this town is called Grimes, that I was living in at that time down the road from Camp Dodge. Camp Dodge was in Des Moines. Grimes is about 3 miles down the road. Quiet little town at the time. I don't know how it is now. I walked out the side door under a tree, and I saw a creature that you could not see. Nobody, I like to say no one else has ever seen this because I'm that adamant. It was this black, okay? It looked like paper. It had long ears, like a rabbit style head, long neck, and long skinny front legs like a coyote, and like a rabbit's body, but perched more upward as it sat like a rabbit, but too big to be one. It looked like it was about maybe 3.5 feet tall, standing there in the parking lot across the street under one of those mall type of lamps, lights. You see, like in the mall, they have the tall lights. I walked out to the edge of the road, didn't notice it. I looked up and I see it, and I'm looking at it, and this thing's like this, looking around, and it looked right at me and lowered. And I'm looking at it, and I almost laughed. I poked myself, and I said, I'm awake. This isn't a dream. That isn't real. That's paper. It looks like it's made out of paper. Suddenly there's no cars on the road, 8:30 at night. you hear music. There was a car coming up the road. The thing looked down the road and bounced, like it looked like it was bouncing behind the building and disappeared. I still went to the bar. Now I really needed a drink. Went to the bar, had a drink. After a couple drinks, I walked home. I said, "Oh, geez, I got to walk back now." Walked back, saw nothing. Next day at work, tying into the drawing that you mentioned, I bring it up to the same guy that left the puppet in my office. Jemmy, the one I named Jemmy that I told you, Alyssa. And this is, I think this was prior to getting Jemmy or after getting Jemmy. I don't know the exact time frame, but same guy, Cummins was his last name. I told him about it. And he was like, well, he goes, you don't do drugs. I said, no, I don't do drugs. I barely even drink. I was heading out to have a couple drinks. He keeps printing pictures and bringing them in my office. Oh, was it this? He brought in an aardvark, brought in all, he brings in a picture. And I said, that's it. It was a Patagonian mara, which is a Venezuelan rodent. So I took the picture and shaded it in, like you said with your drawing. And I shaded it. I said, that's exactly what it is. Now, when all this was going on, everybody else in the office thought I was crazy. I know what I saw. I had called a few friends that night to tell them what I saw out of state, this and that. My girlfriend said exactly what I saw. I ended up meeting a girl out there, and I became friends with her, and I made a film and put her in it and had her mom do the camera work. She was like kind of like a goth type of girl, the goth style. And she worked at a restaurant that I'd go to every day. And I was always in uniform, so we built rapport. And I told her, I said, I'm out here to the done. I do short films. I'd like to write a film called Iowa More Than You Know. Like I owe you. You get it? Like Iowa. So I made it with her in it, and she never acted before, and she did awesome. She's a very good actress. And her mom was super cool. I taught her how to use the camera. We did everything, boom, 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 get the whole film done in one day. It ended up being like a 12 or 14-minute film. And it's on my YouTube channel, Iowa More Than You Know. It was actually filmed in Iowa. So I'm at her house one night. They invited me over so I could meet her father. And, we weren't dating, just friends, because I had a girlfriend at the time. But I explained to her, I'm making a film with this girl I met. And she's real cool. She understood, And I'm still friends with the girl today. We talk every year around Halloween. I'm at the house and I explained it to the mother. And the mother said, can I tell you something? I said, yeah. She goes, I met a lot of people in my life. And they're both Wiccan witches, by the way, her and her mom. And she said, I've never met someone I can't read. And I can't read you at all. It's like something's blocked. I can't read. So I said, maybe you can help me. I explained what I had seen, right? She goes, let me go get a book. She went downstairs and came up with a book and opened it and showed me the exact picture of what I saw in that lot. And I said, it looks like a Patagonian mara. She goes, this is a demonic creature that you saw. And I don't know the name that was in there, but when I saw the picture, I said, that looked like the shaded in Patagonian mara picture that Cummins printed to show me that of the thing I saw in that lot, 26 September 2014. Now, my friend, her name's Amelia. I mean, she's in the movie. If you watch the movie, I owe More Than You Know. That strip mall, she works there now. In that little, it's not really a mall. It's like a bunch of offices. I'm not sure what she does. But she goes, oh, around Halloween, I always look for your creature every year, and I haven't seen it. And I said, well, so I hope you never see it, I told her. And she goes, oh, I'd love to see it. And I was like, I don't know. I said, I saw it, and I think I got saved by the car coming up the road. I didn't see the car. I heard the music. I was actually at the point, I was standing at a stop sign when I saw it. I wanted to jump up and grab the top of the stop sign and like pull myself up in case it charged. But I was thinking, how stupid is that? You slice your hands on the stop sign, but there was literally nowhere to go. The way it looked, when it lowered and looked, I said, I'd never make it back to that door. I'll never be able to climb up the tree. I said, I just have to face it. But the cool part about it is I wasn't scared. I was more intrigued and almost saddened that I was the only one there. Like, as I told you, my girlfriend was in the car when my mom answered the phone and went, hello. I had a witness. In the Bridgewater Triangle, my buddy Rich saw it after I did. And I said, oh, I saw it back there, the thing that leaned out behind the tree. This here, I had no witness. And this was the most amazing thing I'd ever physically saw. And I just wanted more than anything to be able to say, hey, look what we saw. So I have one more story. I don't know if you have time for one more, but
we could do one more.
This ties into seeing something with a witness. That Patagonian Mara demonic thing on September 26, 2014 in Iowa, I saw and always wanted to have somebody with me. In 1998, you remember Bally's, the gym?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they still have them in different areas, but it was big in Indiana. I had a Bally's membership and I used to get free passes. My friend Rob came to my apartment and I said, "Do you want to go work out? I got a pass." Sure. Driving to the gym, sunny day, probably June or July 1998, talking in the car. I had a white Nissan 200 SX with the flip up lights. It was a nice
Oh yeah.
car. I mean, it had all electrical. It was a great car. I used to love that car until I had an accident. That's a different story. But we're driving and a public bus is parked on the side of the road. So picture a busy city. I know I had to take a right up here to head down to the gym, west side of Indianapolis. Driving, people getting off the bus. A woman got off the bus very casually, like everybody else, with a long grayish color trench coat. She looked at the car, and when she did, it looked, and it's already explained it on Dave Schrader's show, it looked like this. Her hair. She did that with her hair, and I saw a cobra. It looked like a cobra's fins and a snake face. And when I saw it, I grabbed Rob because he went, whoa. And Rob's a guy who's not into the paranormal at all. He went, whoa. And I said, whoa, what? I said, so I ended up pulling over in front of the bus because after she did that, it went right back to a person. She was like a dark skinned woman, but she didn't look, I can't say she wasn't light skinned black. She wasn't like Indian. She wasn't, I couldn't tell you what she was. I just know she had a tone to her skin, but beautiful hair. It had to be beautiful hair to flip like that, like one of those shampoo commercials. And she kind of flipped it so we could see it, almost like so we could see it. And then right back to normal, and she walked into the crowd. Where, I don't know. So when I parked in front of the bus, Rob was a pretty tough guy. I said, I gotta go over that. I have to ask her what it is. He had my eyes, oh, dude, please don't get out of the car. He goes, please. This is on a sunny day now. Young kid. He was like 6 years younger than me. He was a tough, strong kid. We ended up going to the gym. Neither of us wanted to work out. We got up there, did a set or two, and I said, I don't want to work out. And he goes, I don't either. But prior to that, I asked him, I said, please tell me what you saw, because I didn't say what I saw. He gasped. He goes, I don't know. I didn't see anything. I said, dude, just tell me what you saw. He goes, she looked like a snake or a cobra. I went, that's what I saw, dude. I saw the same thing you saw. Sunny day, Indianapolis. Nothing restricted us. Nothing even made us look that way. It was just a bus, a standard city bus, people getting off. We must have both looked right when she did it, as if she did it for us to see it. That's how I interpreted it. I never forgot that. Now, years later, when I started seeing Gabby, my girl I'm with now, I brought it up to him on a phone call. I don't know where he lives now, but he lived out in Indiana then. He didn't want to talk about it. He goes, I don't remember that. He goes, yeah. And it basically came down to, I don't want to talk about it. Because I think it maybe didn't trouble him daily, but it was something he buried. And just, we saw it. That's great. We used to discuss it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So, so to speak. So that had to be the most mind blowing, even more than the Patagonia Mara, because that also had a witness.
Yeah, I love having the witness. I had a witness on one of my experiences. I've had missing time when I've been driving. And for many, many years, I thought I was sleeping behind the wheel. And this past a year ago, just over a year ago, I was on my way to work and something happened again. And I'm driving and I have my carpool person next to me. And, I came out of body. I felt like just plain energy behind me. I felt I was behind me, but I was trying to say a single word and I couldn't form the letters to make that word. And this was in the energy. This wasn't in my body. This was the energy trying to make that sound. And the next thing I know, I'm being slammed back into my body. So my body jiggles around like it's, jello.
Yeah.
And I open my eyes and I'm like, whoa, this stop sign came up fast. That's my story. That's what I experienced. And in that same 15, 20-second time frame, my carpool was saying, yes, Dana, you zoned out. You were driving very different than you normally do.
Yeah.
And you were speaking in such slow motion that it was cartoonish.
Hmm.
So I was talking like that. Okay. And she said I still kept the conversation going, but I just spoke really slow. And then, that was it. She thought I was just joking around with her. And when we were at break and we're talking to each other about this experience, another lady at the table was sitting there with her daughter. And her daughter was like, Mom, you're crazy. You didn't see no lights up in the sky. And I'm like, something did happen to me.
I got a quick one that's not really paranormal, but it's really odd. My mom, as I told you, her situation, she doesn't like drinking fluids. She'd rather drink scalding hot coffee, but coffee's a diuretic, and the way she is, you have to make sure she drinks a bottle of vitamin water a day. And sometimes it's a challenge. When I go over there, it's the same thing. I have a cup, I pour some in the cup. The rest goes in a thermos with a straw because it's easier for her to handle, or for the nurse to give her on my aunt or myself. I'm pouring it in the cup, same amount, same cup, same styled cup. I was pouring the rest, which is the same exact size vitamin water bottle I buy every week, it just one day into the thermos type of thing with the straw, and she only has one of those. There was so much fluid, it almost went over the top. And I looked at it and I went, how in the heck is there more? Now, there's no other fluid I gave her. She drinks a coffee in the morning, like a half a cup of coffee, some cranberry, which is in a separate cup, and the vitamin water. That one day, after I put a little in there, there was so much in it, it went almost over the top. And that's impossible because it's the same bottle. So I looked at it and I even went afterwards, I poured it all back into the bottle. It all fit. I said, because it never goes up that high. It went up almost level to the top of the thermos that one day. That makes no sense. Because how would you be able to take those contents and fit it back in that bottle? And that's the first thing I did is I put them both back in. Perfect. It was as if it was messing with me. Something was messing with me for that to happen. That was only maybe 4 months ago. And that was during
So
the day.
then you poured it back in. Did you pour it back into it and
Yep.
it was still
I was
too
in the
much?
kitchen doing it. And I remember I poured it and I was like, wait a minute, this is more full than usual. I poured the rest, it was right up to the top. And there's no way it could do that. There's nothing else in there, no ice, same thermos, vitamin water is a standard size bottle, same cup. Isn't that weird? So
That
when I
is
put it
weird.
back in the bottle, it fit. And when I did it the second time, it was at a different level. And I said, I'm
Did
not
you
crazy. It only happened once, but that's weird. And that was just recent, a
did you
couple months
pour it
ago.
into another bottle the same size? A
Well, yeah,
different bottle?
everything's exactly the same every single day. That one day it was different. And when I put it back in the plastic bottle, it was the exact measurement. It's an impossibility for that to happen, but it did. So I
That's
called my
crazy.
girlfriend right away. I said, guess what just happened? She goes, your mother okay? I said, yeah, it's something creepy. I got to. So I told her, and she's like, oh, wow, that's weird. And I said, yeah, but we get a lot of that.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Well, this has been, I know you have more, I have notes down here for more stories that you have, but this has been awesome. Thank you.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you so much for your stories. And I think we have more stories to share with each other. We can do that another time, but
Oh,
I think
definitely.
this is awesome. I think
I'm
this is
glad we have
awesome.
similarities too. There's a lot of things that you mentioned triggered my stories. We had a lot in common. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is really cool. And I have more stories to share with you if that can trigger more stories from you because I've got
Yeah, we
lots
should
of
do another
stories.
show in like 6 months or so, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do that.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Let's do that.
I
All
want to
right.
thank you. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. It's been a great time with you, and I'm stories are fantastic, and I just love hearing these stories. I tell people this. It's great to let other people know that they may be having these stories
Yeah.
and thinking they're crazy for having these stories, but this stuff is out there. This stuff is true. This stuff is real.
Yeah, and what you just said makes a lot of sense because these stories that we have don't trouble us. It doesn't mean that other people's experiences aren't troubling them. And by us talking about it, we might be able to help them to discuss what they're going through or have gone through. So you're right. It's a nice thing to be able to share it and help people at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So I appreciate you being on the show and sharing your experiences to help the others out. So I appreciate that. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're
And
welcome.
again, thank you for serving too.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. You're welcome.
Yeah. If anyone else out there has a story you would like to share, email me lighttalk423 at gmail.com. And we will see everybody next time. Bye.